So let's go back to 2 Ezra 14 and 10. It says, "For the world has lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old." So by the time Ezra was on the scene around 400, 500 BC, the world was losing her youth. See, he's trying to drive that point home, because the end was going to come in about another 2,500 years. So it goes on to say, "For the world is divided into 12 parts." Meaning what? 12,000 years. How do we know that? Because during the time when Ezra was on the scene was around 400, 500 BC. And another 400, 500 years in the future, Yahushua was on the scene, which would finish the 10th part. Then when Yahushua, because it tells you in another part of Ezra that within 400 years the Messiah would be here. And that's number 10, which represents the kingdom. But we still had time, another 2 days. Oh, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to 2 Peter. Let's go to 2 Peter, chapter 3, and verse 8. It says, "But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day." So to the Heavenly Father, 1,000 years is one day. A year to us sometimes seems long. So imagine 1,000 years, but to the Heavenly Father, it would be like a 24-hour day to us. So going back, once again, 2 Ezra 14:10, "For the world has lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old." Back then, 2,500 years ago. "For the world is divided into 12 parts, which is 12,000 years. And the 10 parts are gone already, which was 900. And half of a 10th part, which is about another 500. Like I said, by the time Ezra was on the scene, it was around 400, 500 BC, depending on the calculations. Right? It says, "And there remaineth that which is after the half," which is what? Another 500 years of the 10th part, which would complete the 10th part. And at the end of that 10th part, or 10,000th year, the Lord Yahushua would come on the scene. So if during the time of Ezra and 500 years to the future, the 10th part would be in, how many more parts were left? 2 more parts. So those 2,000 years from the time of Yahushua till now, we're in the end of the world. This is why the disciples asked this, because they wanted the kingdom of heaven. So they wanted to know when these things were going to happen, which shows you that during the time of the disciples, they were catching hell from the Romans. You have some individuals saying, no, they wasn't really catching hell because they kept their own laws. Yeah, they kept their own laws, but they were still under tribute under the Romans. This is why there were so many revolts, because the taxation was crazy. That's why you had a lot of devaluing of the money, because their army was spread thin. You know, they had the upkeep of the soldiers on Hadrian's Wall to keep the so-called barbarians out. So that's a lot of money, man.